You're listening to the Irvin V. Griffin Jr. podcast here on Spreaker.com. Hey, this is Irvin V. Griffin Jr. And this is a subject that I just want to get on and come with some facts. I want to dig up the most recent statistics on this. The most latest I could find was in 2013. Now, how this came about was I was listening to Jay the Black on one of his videos, and it was on the subject of Wendy Williams and her recent comments about HBCU and the NAACP. Now, let me say this. I actually don't mind Jay the Black. In fact, I like some of his content. And even the stuff that I don't agree with, I do think about. I have nothing against the brother. He is entitled to think how he wants. But during that video, in which he actually defended Wendy Williams for having the right to think and say what she said, even though he himself admits he does not really care for Wendy Williams, much like a lot of people join the club, brother. And he has every right to defend what he believes. But there was one part that I kind of took a little issue with. And that's where he said, all these people that are saying that, well, secretly, we know black men secretly look at white women and black women look at white men. I did take a bit of an issue with that statement. Just because I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. So I decided to do my own research. And like I said, the most recent one I could find was an article from last summer from Pew Research Center, their website, from June 12, 2015. And the most recent statistics was from 2013. And here's how the two graphs break down. The group that actually dates the most, or marries the most, actually, I went even a step further to say, who really marries interracially. Now, who marries the most is actually American Indian at 58%. Asians is right behind that at 28%. Blacks are actually the second lowest at only 19%, while white only marries at 7% interracially. Now, I decided to find something to break down, and they had a breakdown too of it, men versus women. And then when I looked at black people, 25% of men actually marry interracially. Black women actually was lower in that category. Only 12% of black women actually marry interracially. So that means for black men, 75% of the time, they still marry black women. And for black women, about 88% of the time, they still marry black men. So, nothing against the brother. Like I said, he has the right to think how he wants. But statistics contradict that. And once again, when looking, American Indian actually ranks higher, with 54% of Indian men marrying interracially. And 61% of their women marry interracially. Going to Asian, only 16% of their men marry interracially. And women of Asian descent is higher, 37% of them marry interracially. Whites were actually even. Only 7% on both sides actually marry interracially. But I mainly focused on the black statistics. By and large, black men and black women still marry each other. So that whole notion that, as soon as a black man gets money, he marries a white woman. Well, how do you know that white woman wasn't already with him, supporting him before he got money? as a matter of fact, there's some to say, and sometimes I think he gets outrageous with his stories. Now, when I say he, I'm not talking about Jade the Black in this example here. I'm actually talking about Tariq Nasheed. Sometimes I think he gets outrageous with his examples of stories, but I've actually heard this one that he told from other people as well. A lot of these athletes that you see marrying white women or with white women, like in sports and stuff, a lot of times they're pushed into these relationships because most of them actually want to marry their own. I mean, you got your exceptions like O.J. Simpson that desperately wanted to marry a white woman, but you got ones that don't want to marry interracially. Now, I've said this in many of my other regular YouTube videos and even in my Spreaker broadcast. I personally prefer a black woman. But if love and everything came in a white woman's package or Asian woman's package and we get along and there's respect and everything, I can't say I wouldn't do it. But I don't go out hunting for it either. But that's a whole nother subject. But the reason I want to make this quick podcast is just to show that Jay the Black is not the only one that thinks this. A lot of black people think this. And I'm like, no, that's actually not true. Now, if I find any other recent statistics, because like I said, these are actually from 2013. I'd like to find some from like at least 2014. And let me say, to those of you that are in an interracial relationship, if there is true love and respect between you two, hey, go for it, man. I ain't gonna fault you. Life's too short to be worried about that stuff. But at the same time, I just wanted to get up here and kind of dismiss that lie that black people are looking elsewhere for love and this and that. Actually, that is not true. That's not true at all. So that's all I want to come up here and do. You can listen to this podcast again on the Irvin V. Griffin Jr. podcast. It even lets you download the audio. You can find me on Twitter under the handle Griff Phoenix. And of course, there's my YouTube page, Irvin Griffin Jr., aka Mr. Griffin. Anyway, I'm out for this video. You have a nice day, folks.